Hello, we're the Black Pearl Group for our Korean pop culture course at UCI. In this presentation, we'll be discussing the increased interest in Korean media and culture through the accessibility of streaming services. My name is Jasper Dang.
Hi, my name is Gwyneth Angel Bayan.
Hi, my name is Jihoon Kang.
The increased online accessibility of Korean media through streaming sites has largely influenced its recent explosion in popularity. We argue that if the current trend continues and new Korean cultural products achieve similar or even greater success, it will lead to a wider recognition of Korean media in terms of global film festivals, awards, and multi-dimensional dialogue beyond Korea and the Asian sphere.
In recent years, Korean media has been made more readily available and accessible through online streaming services such as Netflix, Viki, and Drama Fever. This development has made it possible for fans of Korean pop culture to gain legal quality content as well as attract other potential fans who previously might not have had any interest in Korean media.
Due to this phenomenon, Korean media as of recent has exploded in popularity, contributing to international success and recognition of Korean films and entertainment. In this paper, we will show the growth of Netflix and other streaming sites as major contributors to this increase in popularity and evidence of their long-lasting positive influence on international exposure of Korean entertainment.
At the start of the globalization of Korean media, Korean dramas and films were only available as VHS or DVD rentals in Korean diaspora communities up until the mid-2000s. Because renting Korean media was mostly limited to Koreatowns of metropolitan cities, including Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, those who did not have access to these rental stores, both ethnic Koreans and non-Korean speakers, relied on illegal streaming sites.
In response to these observed patterns of users on illegal streaming sites, Sung Pak and Suk Park, the founders of DramaFever.com, launched the first legal streaming website in early 2009. After 4 years of its release, Drama Fever's users rose to 4 million users in 2013. By making Korean media more accessible through Drama Fever, Korean media was now able to be reached by a significant international non-Asian audience, further increasing the popularity of Korean dramas and films.
Following the success of Drama Fever, American media companies like Hulu and Netflix developed partnerships with Drama Fever after noticing the growing viewership of Korean media. Being the world's leading streaming service with 125 million subscribers in over 190 countries, as reported in 2018, Netflix in particular has become a major player in the increased accessibility of Korean media for global audiences, recognizing the newfound influence that Korean media has on streaming services.
So why are streaming sites such as Netflix suddenly buying into the market of K-dramas and other K-media?
Well, suddenly might not be the right term, but over the last few years, we definitely have seen a huge investment being made by companies like Netflix. But isn't there already a large market in Asia for K-media? Why is there this sudden shift to the West and other international markets?
Let's take a look into the Asian market for K-media. We might find some answers there.
In July 2016, the U.S. Department of Defense and South Korean Ministry of National Defense announced in a joint statement the alliance decision to deploy a U.S. terminal high-altitude area defense anti-missile battery in South Korea to defend against the increasing North Korean missile threat. So essentially, South Korea and the U.S. came to an agreement to deploy terminal high-altitude area defense, which is meant to shoot down missiles in order to protect them from North Korea.
Wait. What does that have to do with South Korea and its media though? And China? Where's China playing a role in this?
Well, when South Korea announced the statement, China perceived it as an attack on them because they believed that it would put their own intelligence at risk, and saw it as the beginning of the United States closing in on China along with South Korea and Japan.
Wait, so what has China done about it? Are you saying that China didn't like that, so they tried South Korea to abandon a deployment?
Exactly. China, since this agreement, has come to boycott Korean products or physical products to Korean media. And while tensions between the two countries has since been improved to a certain extent, the South Korean economy took a huge hit. By using economic coercion, China's aim was to get South Korea to listen to them, because they are indeed a huge market for K-media. While K-pop idols and Korean celebrities are still seen in some media in China, For the most part, Korean media has been greatly limited and controlled since the deployment of THAAD.
Since then, the Korean media market, dramas and films included, has shifted its focus on entering other global markets, because they are a business, and businesses follow and move where money and trends go, right?
Starting with the very beginning of K-drama entering the North American market through Hulu to Netflix, signing contracts with South Korean media companies such as Studio Dragon and producing mega-hit Netflix originals such as Kingdom, South Korea has definitely taken a turn when it comes to international marketing. They've expanded way past just the Asian sphere.
Korean media has not always been so accessible, but the nature of Netflix that recommends other content from the same region as soon as one ends caters to this black hole-like quality of streaming services, fixing interest in regional content that one might previously have not considered.
Indeed, and with the rising popularity of Korean media due to Hallyu, it adds up as to why now and why Korean media. One key feature in Korean cinema is its transformation due to transnational forces, including and especially Hollywood. Hollywood has consistently remained dominant in the global film market, and although in recent times Korean media has successfully challenged it, it is important to note the major role and influence of Hollywood films in the Korean local media scene.
Korea is one of the largest consumers of Hollywood films. Thus, it is no surprise that many Korean filmmakers have been inspired by Hollywood. As a result, many Korean films have borrowed concepts and production models from Hollywood cinema, such as the camera and audio system.
Many Korean films modeled after Hollywood ones have thus gained popularity and overshadowed smaller art and indie films. However, these large-scale Korean films have been able to compete with Hollywood films and also are viewed and celebrated on an international scale.
Film festivals and global theater screenings allowed people from all over the world to gain initial exposure to Korean media, thus increasing interest and drawing international audiences' attention. Because of Korean media's mixture of both Western and local concepts and techniques, many viewers are drawn to it, and it has snowballed and created an even larger demand for Korean media today.
So as the interest in Korean media continues to grow, it benefits Korea both economically and politically. Cultural products which Korean dramas and films fall under are a form of soft power that promotes a positive image of Korea to the world. Popularized films and media can stimulate interest in other cultural products, which adds to the country's GDP and ultimately its political power on the international stage as a cultural powerhouse.
Although getting the licensing rights to show Korean dramas and films on streaming services can get pricey, companies such as Netflix have started to produce its own content, which are increasing in number as popularity continues to grow.
While some countries made the decision to ban the import of Korean media, the United States decided to embrace it, expanding the market for Korean entertainment globally.
So there are lots of platforms by which we can access Korean media online, but we have hopefully shown through our research that a lot of the increase in its popularity can be attributed to the change in promotional strategies by Netflix to show more Korean entertainment on its streaming platform. Using this platform to stream regional television can attract fans from all over the world who might otherwise have no interest in watching a Korean film.
Online streaming services have provided a gateway for new and old fans to gain easier access to their favorite TV shows, whether it be local content or international. As a result, wider audiences are exposed to Korean films and dramas, creating a snowball effect as they gain more and more interest in Korean cultural products such as music, food, or language, and engage with it beyond the computer screen. This international success is a stepping stone for Korea to recognize its existence within the global market and legitimize the international success of its media.